Welcome, everyone, to TSG Day 2025, the International Day for Traditional Sports and Games, where ancient heritage meets next-gen tech. Today, we're taking TSG into the future with the magic of XR, extended reality, giving our games new life, new audiences, and new possibilities. Kicking things off, we have Dr. Richard Kennard, founder of Pose AR, the augmented reality martial arts training app that's redefining how we learn and practice traditional combat skills. Next, Christine Schwarz, co-founder of Virtual Round Ballers, bringing us world-class mixed reality sports simulations that blur the line between the real and the virtual. And closing our lineup, Muhammad Hadi, founder of BaseX and CricketX, a visionary turning sports into dynamic, interactive XR experiences for the global community. These three XR pioneers are here to inspire the TSG community, showing how technology can safeguard our heritage while making it more exciting than ever. We've put three big questions to each of them, and their answers might just change how you see the future of sports. Let's get straight into it. Here's our XR experts panel.
So I'll start. So my name is Richard. I'm a software developer, also a father, and I got into this because my son, when he was around 7, he took up Taekwondo at his local school. And so I went along to sit at the back, and then after a while of sitting at the back, they said, "Why don't you join in? Encourage your child to get involved." So I get involved, and fast forward 5 years, and we're both there trying to do our black belt exam. And as an older man, I found it very hard. I found I was very bad at Taekwondo. A lot of the things that were expected of me physically were very confusing to me, particularly things like they would tell you where to place your body, how to kick, how to stand, and that was not something I'd ever done growing up. So that was a real challenge for me, and I started thinking, what would help someone like me to get better at this kind of activity, any kind of physical activity where body posture, forms are critical. So anything like dancing, martial arts, that kind of thing, where they're trying to get you to stand in certain ways, move in certain ways. Some people, like myself, lack the sort of body awareness to do that. So I'm starting to think, how could that be better for someone like me? And I think whenever you're sort of blue skying these things, that the best way to do it is to kind of try and think backwards from the impossible. So you think, what would be the ideal world would be if I could have some kind of hologram that was sort of in the room with me, that was showing me where to stand, and I could physically walk up to that hologram and step inside that hologram so that I place my arms inside its arms and my legs inside its legs, and then I would know that I'm in the right place. There's a scene in that Iron Man movie where he's trying to compose a new piece of armor, and he gets like a hologram of the armor, and he actually places his hand inside the armor, and I guess that was quite inspiring to me. I was thinking that's what you could really do with, but of course such technology doesn't actually exist, so you work backwards from there, and what you get to at least is something like augmented reality. So this panel session is about what has become known as XR in the industry, and XR is kind of it's a category that applies to both what they call augmented reality and what they call virtual reality. So they're very similar concepts in that you have to wear some kind of device that replaces your vision. But with virtual reality, it completely replaces your vision. You can't see anything except what the device is feeding into your eyes. Whereas augmented reality is you still see the normal real world around you, but the device adds things into that world. So in this idea, you can wear this device, you still see the real world, you still see your own body, but now you can see these holograms in the world with you. So now you're able to step into the hologram. So that's the idea. And then you build that product, and then you try exploring that space, and all kinds of interesting things happen when you explore a space that hasn't really been explored before. So, the first thing that really comes strong is that when you're learning, not by watching someone and then try and doing it yourself, but you're learning by stepping inside a hologram and doing it yourself from the very first minute, your muscle memory comes on a lot stronger. So you find you can learn patterns and movements much quicker than you can by doing the passive step of watching and then the active step of doing. This way you're always doing the active step of doing. So that's a really great first sort of win for an augmented reality training. But then you start running into obstacles. So you hit things like, for example, and something that I'd never really realized before, but at any given time, at any given time, the amount of your own body that you can actually see using your own eyes is shockingly low. And in fact, in many cases, it's 0%. So right now, if I'm sitting here staring at a laptop screen, unless I have my hands in front of me, I really can't see much of my own body at all. You can't see your own legs, you can't see your arms, you certainly can't see your shoulders. But you don't realize this because your body is full of sensors that tell you where your limbs are, so you know where your limbs are without having to actually see them. So it's a very subconscious thing. But as soon as you start moving into VR or AR, you realize that becomes a problem, because the only thing that VR and AR can replace is your vision, which means these holograms that it's putting into your vision, although you can see them from the outside, as soon as you step inside them, you really lose all sight of them. Unless you're physically looking down at your body and looking at your arms and legs, you lose where they are. And because you lost where they are, as soon as they start moving, it's very easy to lose track of them. So it's actually very hard to stay inside the hologram once it starts moving away from you, because you lack this sense of where the hologram's limbs are, which I think is called proprioception or something, is the human senses that we have. But of course, we can't do those senses in AR. So you have to find ways around that. For me, I found a way around that. There was a trend going on at the time when I was developing the app called freeze walking. It was a TikTok trend. Kids were making these videos where they would do a little animation and freeze themselves along the way, and then replay the animation and show them walking into their own self. It's kind of a neat sort of thing. You put it to music. But I thought that would be what you need. If you could take the hologram and then take it at multiple stages along where you want it to go, and freeze these sort of stages, and then you can walk into one hologram after the other. That way you would know where it was going to go. You wouldn't lose track of it so easy. So you start developing all these things, and you explore the pros and cons of being able to bring in new form of training. So I think it's important to stress at the outset for people that are new to VR and AR is, just like any new medium that comes along, whether it's being able to watch DVDs at home or YouTube videos, it's something that you can add to the existing world of sports and sports training. It doesn't take it away from what's already there. So a lot of time when I show people the AR training type work, they're like, oh yeah, but I still prefer doing it with instructor. And we're like, that's great. I'm not trying to take away the instructor. We're trying to say this is a great tool to use either at home or when the instructor's busy. We can put this headset on you. It can give you accurate instruction because it knows where your body is. It can tell you to stand here or stand there. It can tell you to move your hand a little to the left, a little to the right, and it can give you that instruction in addition to you also having your usual with the instructor or actual sparring and that kind of thing. So it's definitely not replacing those things. And it's definitely got huge strengths, but it's also got some weaknesses. So for example, there's certain things that I think AR and VR right now can't replace very well. And those mainly revolve around anything to do with physical feedback. So things like dancing and martial arts are very good in some ways because they have training that involves going through motions. But anything that involves, sparring, actually hitting someone else, hitting a bag, these kinds of activities, you don't have that force feedback in AR or VR to do that. So it's unrealistic. It's also slightly dangerous if you do if you throw a really big punch and there's nothing actually there to connect with, you could potentially wrench your shoulder a bit. So those sorts of areas we need to work on. But I think it's just a really interesting new space to be in. And anytime you go into a new space, there's so much to learn so quickly. And I think we're just at the start of that.
Sure. Hi, I'm Christine. I'm CEO and co-founder of Virtual Round Ballers, and we've created a true-to-life basketball simulation in virtual reality. And we chose that because virtual reality is the only medium right now where you can feel embodied and you really take on that experience. And my background's in business across different startups, finance, ops, marketing, but I really came to this from a user's perspective. I'm first generation American. My parents are refugees from World War II in Eastern Europe. And growing up, they didn't really encourage sports, especially for their daughters. So I never got the opportunity to play sports in my youth. I tried in high school, but didn't make a single team. But then in college, I met a phenomenal trainer who got me into bodybuilding. Very much not a popular sport, especially for women. But at the age of 30, I won ESPN's Muscle Mania bodybuilding competition. And it just made me realize, like, had I started earlier, I really could have played like competitively great sports. And like Richard's story, like now I'm like, I'm not going to go on a basketball court anywhere because I would feel so embarrassed in front of others. And I feel like with social media today, kids also feel that way, that they're not good enough. And I've also heard that from parents whose kids have tried our game, that it's like a non-judgmental environment that they can really try a new sport without feeling judged by their peers. And so I feel really, you know, really excited about what immersive tech can do, or XR can do with sports at any age. It's very inclusive. And really, it's like the accessibility it gives to people, no matter what their skill level is. If they have access to those facilities, instructors, it really makes it inclusive for everyone. And especially for girls, like I know in the United States, like girls drop out of sports at age 14 twice the rate as boys do. And organized sports is so competitive. It really is so professionalized now that I think it's really the parents pushing their kids to be so great at it, that kids cannot have fun playing sports and they get burned out at an early age. So, so that's the reason why I think, you know, I wanted to do this in VR, with basketball. And so we've developed this game where it's defense only, and you don't press a single button. And again, with VR, you can do all your movements naturally in this environment. So it's a real simulation. You're not sitting on a couch doing controllers or watching a video on gameplay. And we've had a number of professional coaches come up to us, and not only can you like watch back your own movement, but for any players that are injured, they can really, especially on a basketball court, view like and really develop their what they call court IQ in terms of, okay, what's my next play? And you just learn that in such a on a deeper level that you can like then more quickly respond to what the other people are doing on the court. So that's the other advantage of building in XR. So yeah, so we're really excited. And again, we're just taking whatever the technology is available to us now. So even in our basketball game, when we do offense, we're going to like have you try to shoot the ball in the beginning of the game so we can track that trajectory. And the physics behind it will tell you if you make a shot or not, just based on your form. So that'll make it more accurate, because a lot of the VR basketball games out there right now are just like social games, just try to get kids in the space communicating and, you know, having some shared experience together where there's nothing accurate about it. So with the hand movements, we've just focused on the game that can be played within a small space, that you can practice your technique and things like that. And we make it fun for people by having a trash talking avatar that you compete against. And then I also want to bring in both female and male college players that you can select to compete against. And again, that makes it exciting. College sports here is huge. So they can really like play against their, you know, whoever they follow in sports, along with NBA and WNBA legends. And I think especially for females, like representation matters. So that's why I'm really passionate about getting female athletes into the game as well. And then we'll continue to offer game activations at real NBA and WNBA games, along with on college campuses as well, for people to try. So that's what we're doing. And then we can evolve it as a multiplayer one-on-one, two-on-two game where your AI teammates can be programmed in real pick and roll strategies of basketball. So you will learn like real basketball while you're playing the game. And then we can involve like have coaches in there to, tell you your techniques and things like that as well. So yeah, we're really excited about building this. And I think for the future and for your committee, Majid, um, I feel like this can like you can also build experiences um, to preserve the culture and history of these sports, especially for your indigenous communities, where you can even build within the experience like a museum for them to view or walk through, like how the sport evolved in their culture, and have different historians speak to those like early beginnings and how it evolved and came about. And so I think those types of experiences, even if you can't replicate the sport, given the technology limitations, I think the historical perspective of these like ancient sports can be also incorporated into that experience. Because like with our game, you start in a locker room where a coach speaks to you and takes your measurements. And I see this happen. So I see like that same format can be with some of these ancient sports where you can have them like go through and walk through like how it like really evolved and the cultural significance of that, and have different people speak on that topic, and it really immerses them, the user, to understand and get emotionally connected to that sport.
Christine. Hi, Richard. I'm Mohammed Hadi, the founder of XF Studio, and we are empowering athletes through virtual reality batting simulators for cricket and baseball. So, actually, in any kind of sports, we know that practice against someone who is better than you actually makes you better. But the problem is that better person don't want to practice with you. And and this is the problem what we are solving. And uh, uh, so we have the simulators for the cricket and baseball, and the value proposition is that you are able to face any type of pitchers or any type of ballers that are in the cricket or baseball, or any type of pitch that is possible in the baseball, or also those pitches or those deliveries which are not possible in the baseball. So, for example, if you want to train against a fastball, and your opponent throws a fastball at 90 miles per hour, and you have the next match with him, and you have to practice that 90 miles per hour fastball, you don't have a lot of options. You won't find the pitchers who can throw you those type of balls. But in our scenarios, you can adjust the speed, you can adjust what is the location of the pitch, and what is the swing and what is the movement in the pitch. So, in short, having our simulators, you hired a coach or a bowling machine which is insane and which can throw you whatever you can think of, and even those deliveries which is beyond the human capacity, so you can build your muscle memory and you can practice against it. And the next best part is first talk about the cricket one. There is another huge, you can say, problem in the cricket, and what I believe that the cricket is, you can say, the cricket is the game which supports the home advantage more than any other game. Why? Because the ball coming to you, it has to hit to the ground before coming to you. And it got a lot of variations from the ground. how the ground is, uh, uh, you can say like the delivery or the ball will varies a lot. So uh, uh, so the delivery in India or probably in Pakistan, it's totally different than the balls in Australia or America or something. So so that's why whenever a Pakistani or Indian player goes to England or Australian pitches, they struggle a lot. And this is something which you cannot solve because you cannot buy their soil and take it to your home. Some people tried to do it, but it's you can say a really $1 million expensive project. So that's the biggest thing, that you can adjust any type of pitch condition or ground condition possible. Uh, so you can actually set that what is the friction in the ground and how much turn it will take from the ground. And the next thing which comes in the cricket and the baseball as well, that your bat is being recorded, your head position is being recorded, and you can actually see that how you are performing. And like the best thing with the virtual reality is that the virtual reality sensors or the controllers or the trackers are much precise than the very expensive tracking hardwares which are available in the market, which cost around you a lot. You can just get some device, a consumer-based device from Amazon or Best Buy, and they track very accurately, precisely. So you are able to see your technique, that how is your swing, at what contact, at what position the ball has hit the bat, and like you as you can see it in the 3D space, it's much more beneficial than looking it in the on a flat screen, because in the 3D space, what you can do, you can actually uh, rehearse that again. Oh, that's my bad path, and you are able to see that bad path. Okay, you can see like, here is what I am doing wrong, and here what I have to adjust, and you can rehearse sometime and then play again. So uh, so yeah, like these are our value proposition of our simulator, where we are standing right now. In the cricket side, there are several international cricketers who are using our product for their training, and we have some facilities in Pakistan as well. We are developing in here in Canada as well, where people can book the slots, and they can play as well. So there is you can say a casual experience aspect as well, because the sport is meant to be entertaining. So because we have the simulators, so there are there's several people who are using for their casual experience, or just to have a good time, or like in the off days. So we have the casual audience as well, and we have the core professional and training audience as well. And after the cricket, we ported our simulator to the baseball, and now we are launching our baseball simulators, and we are getting really good validations on the baseball side from the professionals here in Canada, and and uh, and we are hoping soon, like at the end of 2025, we will be having a bunch of high-end professional users in the baseball category who will start training on this. So yeah, like with the technology of VR, as you both guys mentioned, the best thing is that how you are able to track your analysis, and 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 what I would say, like you guys actually mentioned really good things, which are right on the spot. What I would say, like another uh, a big feature of the VR, which is sometimes ignored or undermined, is the feasibility it takes to you. So so in the so, So, so actually, we can say like the biggest problem in the sport is that to practice the sport, you need an opponent, and getting that opponent, it's dependent on someone. So what you can do now to practice, you are actually independent. You can actually do practice at your time, and it's feasible. You can do within your home. You then don't have to book the slots or pitch to actually play there. And the way the virtual reality market is progressing, how the technology is getting better and better, we can only see like this would be probably the most effective way to get trained or to play the sports, probably in the next 5 to 10 years. How the headset size is coming down, how the prices is coming down every year. And like the retention is at last it's begin increasing the MetaQuest retention rate. So yeah, like very exciting times ahead there. And I would like to talk on the TSG side, how we can preserve the traditional games. Uh, to preserve, you can say like the traditional games, or maybe you can revive the traditional game. I guess like this is a really good medium through which uh, through which actually at first you can document a game. Because sport is meant to be felt. So probably you can say like the virtual reality is the best way to document the game. And if you just take the use case of documenting that game, probably VR is the best medium that how you preserve that game, if you have to tell that how this game is played. Uh, because you can actually simulate a 3D environment, and that's the reason why the sports is the last thing which is getting digitized, uh, because to play a sport, you actually need to track the 3D world space and your 3D position. And only the virtual reality technology was something which allowed that, okay, you can actually digitize the sports as well. So everything in the world is digitizing, and the sports is the last thing which is being digitized. And thanks to this technology, to this VR technology, that at first we can digitize the sports. And if you go into the MetaQuest library, all of the games what we play are almost the sports, are, you can say like a different version of the sport. So just take a Beat Saber. Maybe we don't know, like 500 or 1,000 years ago, someone throwing the ball to you and someone has the saber to get that. So actually, it's a sports which is just being played in the digital world. It has the full mechanics of your physical body moving and acting on it. So it can be qualified as a sports. And if you can just convert into a multiplayer, it could be a two-player or a competitive sports as well. Uh, so uh, so yeah, uh, uh, like making it easier, just take the example of Beat Saber, that how the Beat Saber is digitized. Mm, and we can just take all of those sports and we can digitize it. Probably, like you can say, having the training aspect of it, that comes after it. And at first, we need that game to be digitized, so just we can feel it, we can play casually. Because when it comes to the training, I still believe there are very few sports which are perfectly fit for it. You cannot actually, uh, as Richard said, that like it is not best if you have to practice the impact of the punch, because that is something virtual reality is not very good at it. But in our case, I would say that if the ball is coming to you and you have to react to something, that is something a best use case. So in the training side, yeah, there are still very few aspects where you can use this virtual reality technology, but to document it and make it, you can say, a good, enjoyable experience, so everyone know that how this game is meant to be played. So I guess virtual reality is the best medium for that.
Yeah, so I guess just to recap a little bit, my biggest obstacle was understanding where my body was. The advantage that AR can bring to that is be able to show you where your body needs to go. The obstacle to that is that because of lack of perception, you don't really know where the virtual body is going, but you can solve that by putting in virtual frames in between where you need to get to. But just to go back a little bit to what Hadi was saying about how, I think a guiding light for the community might be to look at what you're currently doing with sports and how much you could do it cheaper and easier with the advantages of AR and VR. So particularly things like, and what Christine was saying about how emotively connective AR and VR could be. I went to a presentation at Uluru recently, which is the large rock in the centre of Australia, where it's obviously, culturally very significant and goes back many thousands of years. And they were trying to evoke this story of connecting you from today back to many thousands of years ago, and some of those stories coming through. And to do that in an evocative way is very hard. They ended up taking you out there at night and putting up a drone show, which was fantastic in the night sky and with the stars and whatever. But in order to try and show you something, a three-dimensional representation hovering in the air that would connect with you and inspire you. Now, it was wonderful to watch, but it was clearly extremely impractical. You had to go out to the Uluru, you had to pay, they had to pay all the drones, and all that setup. Something like AR, you can do that within a $200, $300 headset. So you can take these grand visions that you have and reduce them into something much more feasible that people can actually roll out on a grand scale.
Yes, basketball is very difficult. And I think VR sports in general are difficult to create because of the physics of the game. And that's and we've read the reviews on like all the competing sports games in VR on the MetaQuest store. And the biggest complaint from users is the physics are inaccurate, because when they think like the ball handling aspect of it, because they think when they like make contact with the ball, it doesn't show up in their experience. So we knew going in that would be a big challenge for us to overcome. But we found someone, and we knew that we had to accomplish that to be able to launch this game. So we just found someone who's very, his expertise is in physics as a developer. And we met with the NBA front office early on, and they're like, this is the best VR we've seen. And we see a lot of VR, as well as another VR sports game. We met with their investor, and they said your physics in this game is like better than theirs. So so that's really a key component if you're doing any ball type game, that the physics need to be accurate. And I'm sure Hadi would agree with
it. So actually, you can say like the biggest milestone which we achieved was actually the physics part of it. So so I didn't start it as a startup. I started as a final year project at my university. I was just a passionate cricketer and just wanted to see something like maybe where I can play the cricket, and I just like to I just wanted to make this simulation happened just as a play real cricket, and and the biggest part was the physics, because there are still, you can say, a lot of challenges. One thing which I can explain you, that with the fast moving objects, the ball is coming at around 90 miles per hour and bat is moving at 70 miles per hour. So at one frame the ball is here and the bat is here, in the next frame the bat is here and the ball is here. So so the biggest challenge is to determining that what happens between that, and how every force is being calculated with that. So yeah, like as a final year project, it was just a passion to just solve that problem, and when we solved that problem, and then we saw other competitors around in the market, they had really cool features like the tournaments and everything, but what we felt that, okay, we are good in the most basic part, that when you play a shot, it feels like oh, it's good. So that was the reason for us to which led us to the business side of it, and the building the full simulators around that. And same comes with the baseball. There are, you can say, some of the very big players, like the founders are MLB players or the former MLB GMs who have built those simulators, uh, uh, but they didn't focus on the physics side of it. So that's the reason they got a lot of customers, but there is a very less retention. So so we figured just out the gate that we have something. So then we started building on top of it. So. But that's the best thing which I would say that was achieved, and that was the most difficult part. But it's still going. You can say every day it's getting better and better. You cannot achieve the 100% accuracy anytime with these type of simulators. So it's still a long way to go as well.
Yeah, a little anecdote of another happy little accident that happened when I was developing. Most of the things the good things that happen are just accidents on the way. So one time when I was developing, I accidentally set the scale of my instructor wrong. And so instead of getting a normal life-size instructor, I got a tiny instructor who was maybe only, like 50 centimeters tall. And AR and VR are really interesting when it comes to playing with scale. You can stand, as Christine was saying, you can embody an experience. You can stand in a room and really feel like you're in a room. You can feel how big things are. You can also feel how small things are. And when I accidentally set the instructor very small, what you suddenly realize is you can get an overview of a sport in a way that you just physically cannot get in any other medium. So if you're trying to explain to someone how a field of players work and how they need to move and where they should be at any given time, it's quite hard to understand that being on the field. Being able to have this, this godlike view of the players and be able to see them all quite small and be able to walk around them still and look at where they're going, you can get an overview of what a sport is and how what's expected of players in a way that's just not possible in any other medium. So I think the ability of AR and VR to document particularly ancient sports that people aren't necessarily familiar with how they're meant to be played and where the players are meant to be moving at any given time is really unprecedented in any other medium. So it's a really interesting thing to try and explore.
I think it's important to, as you interview these experts on these traditional sports, to ask them what joy do they feel playing this game? Like what is the fun in it? Because I think in today's sports landscape, like I said earlier, like there's no fun in organized sports. And I've heard that from so many parents and kids that drop out. But I think it's more compelling if you can get people to like speak about the joy of that sport, because sports, you can like gain so many different skill sets and like confidence, and you feel strong and you can have fun. Like it's fun. Like so I think that's an important aspect. And then as you build out these games, I believe with Hadi, like you don't want to overbuild any experience. I think a simple slice of the game to get to introduce them to it would be important. And then you can like evolve the game after that, and show the storytelling part of it, because it does become so immersive and emotive. So they get that feeling. But I think it's really important to capture the joy that it brings to people who have played it earlier, would be key.
Joy. I think this is very important word. How about community? I mean, those traditional games are always a community building exercise.
Yes, community, especially with Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they want community social games.
The advice for the TSG community is that at first you are doing a good job seeing into it, and you are at the right place, especially in the immersive technology. So probably these are the best mediums. So the advice would be prototype fast, take it into the hands of the users, and make it, you can say, like compelling experiences. There was a lot discussion on the training and the professional side of the sports, but that is probably not the path for the TSG to go there. So right now you don't have to care for the muscle memory or those type of things. So at first we have to bring the games in the life, and take it to the hands of the people, take it to the people who actually played those games, or and just gather the information, as the Christine said, that are they feeling good enough, or what are the most important points, and then develop the good experiences so the people like. And the way Majid, as you said, probably I can relate, because I am also from Pakistan, that how the Ludo got popular from being a family board game to an international level game. So uh, this can be a best way for the TSG games as well.
Thank you to our incredible XR experts for sharing their vision and showing us how technology can breathe new life into our traditions. To the entire XR community, we invite you to join us on this exciting journey into the metaverse, where heritage, culture, and indigenous sports find unimaginable new futures. Be part of our mission. Visit traditionalsportsgames.org and join the International Council of Traditional Sports and Games as we preserve, safeguard, and promote the world's sporting heritage together.